Hello, everyone in the Magic Makers Summit. I'm so excited. We might just wait 60 seconds before we jump too deeply in. But for anyone that is here watching the replay, hello and welcome. Please comment, interact with us as if you're here live. Everyone that's here live, I see there's a couple of people jumping on now. Please say hello. We would love to say hello to you, and anyone that's here live, you can ask questions and anything as we're going. I'll have them open. Amanda's here. Hello. She says,
Hi,
so
Amanda.
excited for this. Amazing. Okay.
Cool.
So, Olivia, do you want to start with an introduction to who you are and what you do? You can. I know sometimes that's a loaded question to sum up.
Always, yeah. Especially to a line 3. I know I think you guys talked about human design, or you're talking about gene keys and stuff. Well, my line 3 experimentation, constantly evolving, constantly healing, growing, expanding, transforming. It's a tricky question for me. I can't tell you the amount of times I have tweaked and changed my, what you call me, my title, my about me, my bio on Instagram, my bio on my website. There's just so much trying to encapsulate it, but I'm a firm believer in energy speaks louder than words. So I encourage everyone here to just drop in and really feel into this conversation and feel into the energetics and the codes within it, outside of even maybe the logic or kind of things that are said. I think that there's just so much that can be experienced and received and healed simply by allowing ourselves to feel into it. And if I'm not for you and you feel like, no, thank you, trust that too. So I'm Olivia, like you said, and right now in this current season of life, I guess you could call me a birth doula. I have a lot of life coaching background, a lot of somatic work, a lot of embodiment work, and then that naturally led me into birth work because as a mother myself now, my son is now 9 months old. I birthed during, I don't want to say what words can I say to not get censored here? I don't want us to get shut down or anything, but during the craziest year of ever, I got pregnant in 2020 when everything shut down, and was forced to really look at myself and what I wanted and who I was becoming. And then knowing I was bringing a spirit through and a soul through into human form, and the pressure and the weight that I felt of that, of kind of the chaos and the turmoil of the world, and bringing someone into that. And really what I had to go through and surrender to, quite honestly, choosing a home birth at 36 weeks and choosing to bring my son through in my home, in my bedroom right next to my bed, and no access to medication or medical intervention or anything. And I just completely had to surrender and trust the power, the magic, as we're talking about this week here, of my body and of my capacity and ability to birth my child as he chose me. And then I really do believe as women, it's one of our greatest gifts and one of our greatest designs is we are meant to bring these babies through when they choose us. And I know that can be a touchy topic, so we can always go into that too. I know that can be very sensitive to some people who are maybe struggling and challenged with bringing babies through. And I so deeply honor you wherever you are in this process, and you can choose to tune out of this if that is where you are. I honor where you are in this season. Take what you want, leave the rest, and trust if this doesn't feel like a safe conversation right now. And know you can always plug into it at a later time as well. But that's the work I do, is birth work. I consider myself a guide, guiding women when they're trying to conceive consciously, through pregnancy, through birth, through postpartum, really kind of offering them support and guidance and holding that space for them, and reminding them of who they are as they are through these deep initiations and integrations, very, very real, tangibly, but also very spiritually and energetically, as birth really does kind of wake us up in a really big way, and it's the most transformative experience. So I would consider myself a guide, I guess you could say, for women in this type of season of their life, in birth and postpartum and pregnancy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So much goodness in that. And it's all of that summed up as a guide. But I love that you said energy speaks louder than the titles that we give ourselves. So amazing. I love all of that so much. And we'll definitely dive deeper into some of those points that you brought up as well. But first, let's set the scene with magic. And I know that I want to get your definition of magic, and it doesn't need to be necessarily like a polished definition, but what is your views and experience with magic, and if you want to relate it like to the work you're doing with women and birth, I'm sure you feel it's connected in some way. So
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah.
so yeah,
Beautiful
share
question.
your views on magic in whatever way you feel
Oh
called.
my gosh. Rachel, you always bring me into these big questions. I'm like, oh my God. Okay. Okay. So I'll start with my experience of magic. It was very like disconnected. Simply, I grew up in the church. I grew up in religion. I grew up in Christianity, and very like black and white Christianity. Like there was no room for interpretation, no room for personal experience and perspective. Like it was very much like, here is this. And while I still believe in some of those aspects, and I still believe in God, and I still have a deep relationship with the spiritual realm and possibility and miracles and all of these things, I view it differently now, because in the church, magic would have been considered like the devil's play and the devil's work. And it was very like dark and scary and ominous, and just like, don't even go there, which is interesting because like what you resist persists. So you would think that like we would almost feel more of it. But yeah, so I had a really like kind of distorted view of magic. And so coming into the online world and talking about feminine energy and Shakti and Shiva and, magic and these different topics that so many of the beautiful speakers here have talked about in astrology and human design and gene keys and such, felt very like taboo. Like I'm not allowed to touch that. And like, oh my God, this is going to like open up something that's so scary and dark. But as I really kind of did my own healing through religious trauma and through reconciliation work and really kind of tapping into like, what is magic to me? Because of course there is like witchcraft, and of course there is like more of a religion or doctrine around certain types of magic. So I think it's important to address that and honor that for those that is their truth, and for those that they do subscribe to that, specific category and that specific practice and belief system. And I honor that so fully for them. That is not, I don't consider myself a witch. I don't consider myself someone who practices magic in kind of that definition dictionary type sense. To me, as like I said, as I've healed so much within myself, magic to me is recognizing the power of myself and the power of the divine within me. And whether you want to call that God, spirit, source, creator, I personally believe that those are all intertwined, because I do believe the creator and source and spirit and God are all the same. And I just believe it's kind of whatever label you want to give it. In whatever way resonates with you is beautiful. But to me, magic is all about like what we're capable of, who we are, like the fact that that any of us are here right now, like in this realm, like I can touch, I can see, I can taste, I can smell, I can connect with people energetically. Like that is magic to me, is it not? Like the very existence of humankind and of the way that we work with nature and the way that we're synced with the moon as women and our cycles, and we bleed and we don't die, and we birth and we don't die, and all these different things. I'm just like, fuck, like we are absolutely magical. And so that's how I relate to it, is just like breathe, feel the breath in your lungs, attune to the heartbeat that you have, and notice that in itself, like your blood is pumping and like you're breathing and you're showing up here. Is that not magic? Like, because a lot of it can't be explained. And I feel like when we try to explain it, sometimes we can dilute it. And we can, I don't believe our human minds can fully encapsulate or capture or explain the intricacies of the magic and of the energetics of everything, because we're not meant to fully understand it. Part of the magic is the mystery, and that feminine is the mystery, right? So the power that we have within us as this mysterious force, I'm like, that's it. And if we can harness that and anchor into that and play with that and really embody that, really what isn't possible. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I absolutely love all of that. And it's like, I feel the same, that I constantly have like these mind-blowing moments of thinking that it's like, how are we alive right now? Like, how is this body living? I was talking about this like in day one of the summit, that it blows my mind that a tiny seed can be planted in the ground and grow into a giant tree that lives for hundreds of years.
Yeah,
It blows my
100%.
mind. Like the process of birth blows my mind every time I think too deeply into it.
I know. I'm
it's
like,
like what the hell?
ugh.
These two little things like form a baby inside a
Mhm,
person, and then
mhm,
it's
mhm.
birthed, and then it grows into an adult. Like what?
I know. I know. Yeah, I really do think that birth and having children, even carrying a child, and sometimes that's kind of where the journey ends for some. And like I said, I deeply honor and have so much reverence and respect and just like hold you so near and dear and so tenderly as you're navigating that. But that in itself is magic. I mean, you come together, you create a seed, like you said, like this little seed is here, and like the mom and the dad come together and then whoa, like they make love and here you go. And of course, like we don't need to go into the science of it because we all had the birds and the bees talk. But then all of a sudden, like I remember feeling that, like, oh my gosh, like his ears are growing where they're meant to grow. I'm not doing anything. I'm sleeping, or oh, he's developing a brain right now, and oh my gosh, like then he's birthed, and then all of a sudden he knows how to cry, and he learns how to breathe, and like I don't have to teach him that, like these different. God, it's just so cool. And so, yeah, having children and, even if we don't have our own children, looking at children in the world, like seeing through their eyes of wonder and tapping into, the fact that they're just growing into these adults and humans without really trying. It's just
Mm.
them maturing over time. Like you just are reminded every time you look at a child or a baby or nature, looking at the grass or the birds or the trees and the sun, and you're just like, wow, like this is all operating and working exactly as it's designed to. And
Mm.
like I'm just witnessing it, or I'm just a vessel for it. If you're birthing, it's like, I'm just guiding Zeke as he grows, but his body and his spirit and his soul knows what they're doing. That
Mm.
I can only intervene so much into that, right? But like he ultimately has a path and a plan, and I'm just here to hold him as he grows and as he matures. So yeah,
Yeah.
magic. Mm.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I don't have kids of my own, but I have a little nephew. He's like a little
Mhm.
over 1 years old. And it's just so crazy. Like again, like so many things in life blow my mind. But just watching him, that it'll be like he's walking now. And it's like a few months ago he couldn't
Mhm.
walk. And now he's walking.
Yeah.
It's like it just blows my
Yeah.
mind.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane, but it's like the coolest thing ever to witness. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Okay, so you've already touched on so many amazing things, but now
Mm.
let's move into like the magic of women, the magic
Mm.
of birth. Where do you think is the best starting point for what you're feeling called to share
Mm.
today?
Yeah, I think that something that I'm really passionate about in birth work, because I mean, there's so many people in birth work and there's so many things we learn about birth. But for me, my passion and my heart is in healing our relationship with birth, because it's unfortunately been, and very much like our own magic and our own cycles and our blood and all these different things, like as women we've been taught to fear, right? We've been taught to fear the very places and experiences in our body that hold the most power and the most magic. And I don't know if you guys have touched on even like looking back into the Middle Ages and during the witch hunts and the witch trials, and as women we're working with herbs and we're working with the plants and nature, and we're healing and we're facilitating healing, and we're just in our own energy and we're just moving through like whatever we're doing the work, whether it's midwifery or it's specifically witchcraft or it's herbalism or whatever it might be,
Mhm.
or just even like women listening to other women and coming into community and just holding each other while we cry and while we bleed and while we laugh and all these different things. We were magic, and then that was deemed dangerous and bad and wrong and dark and scary and like very much forbidden. And there were laws and politics came into it and religion came into it and completely made it so that women who were tapped into their magic and working with the magic of nature and earth and birth, we were unfortunately penalized, criminalized for that, and even killed for that. So a lot of us as women as well, we carry those wounds of the witch wound, which you can look into, which I think is really relevant for talking about magic this week. And we were very much pitted against each other, shut down, cut down, and like I said, even killed or burned alive for tapping into that magic within us. So it can feel scary. And, you know, unfortunately, our bleeding as women, we've just been taught that it's dirty and it's gross and it's wrong and it's, you know, something to be hated and frustrated with every single time it shows up every month. And, you know, let's take some pills and let's shut it down and, you know, just stick that tampon in and go on with your day and power through and be like the other people. And, you know, just don't even, you know, almost just ignore that it's even there. Like, just, it's such a pain in the ass and whatever, right? Or we've been taught that birth and pregnancy are scary and you could die, which yes, you could, but like, what's your relationship with death, which is like a whole other conversation. But you know, with pregnancy, it was very much like, okay, you go to your doctor, you spread open your legs, and immediately you've got someone's hand up in your vagina, and they're feeling your cervix, and they're completely like violating you, and we're expected to go along with it. Okay, we show up at the hospital. Okay, we're 40 weeks, excuse me. So let's just go ahead and induce you. Let's administer Pitocin. Let's send you on your way. It was very much like production line efficient, very medicalized, very just completely stripped of, unfortunately, its magic, right? And so while I do believe in medical intervention at certain times, and I believe that, you know, certain things have saved us, and what a beautiful opportunity that lives have been saved and babies have been saved because we have things like a NICU and we have these different medical interventions in place, I do believe it has robbed us of the ability to experience the power of birth and the completely pure and purified experience and magic of it. It's not touched or tainted by anything. And while I do believe that birth, I will say this, birth is a rite of passage. It is a transformative experience, no matter how your baby gets here, no matter what was involved. Like, your process is your process, your experience is yours. Your baby is coming through exactly how they are meant to. It is their birth story as well. So I do believe there's times where we have to grieve maybe a birth plan that's gone, you know, aside, and it didn't go the way that we wanted it to, or things had to pivot, or we had to have interventions that we didn't want to. Like, there's a million, like, birth is such a unique experience. And so I'm not here to demonize or to shame or to shun anyone's experience. If something is triggered in you as I talk about this, I invite you, if you feel safe to do so, to explore that and to work through whatever trauma is being triggered there around birth. Because even though things went fine and baby's fine and mommy is fine, doesn't always mean that it was, you know, a not traumatic birth. Birth trauma is very real. It is very ignored. It is very shamed. It is very shut down, but it lives in the body, and the body doesn't lie. So if there's something happening right now and you're like, oh my God, like, this is bringing up XYZ for me, I invite you to just hold yourself in that and witness yourself in that and let that energy and emotion move, and then seek whatever support you need to maybe go deeper into it or take it into your own practice, and just know, like, I am seeing you so, so big in this. That feels important. So what I was saying was, you know, what was the question again? Maybe I should go back to, where's a good place to start in birth? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would say, like, I guess I could give you one statement before I went into like the history of it, because I just think the history is important in terms of, like, you were fucking made to do this. Like, don't let anyone tell you that you weren't, because you were. Your body was designed for this. You are capable of this. No, your baby is not too big. Your baby is perfect for your body. Your body can do incredible, amazing things. It is all working in your favor. Hallelujah. Amen. That's important. Okay. Don't let them hijack you from the fact that, like, literally your body is designed to birth your baby. Okay. Don't let anyone feed you with that fear and that bullshit and the hijack and manipulate your experience, because it's not true. Okay. The truth of you is that your body was designed for this. But I will say, like, one, birth is magic, because simply birth is a human bringing spirit into form. Like, you will see and experience and feel God on such a wild level. They call it labor land. Like, you literally, like, you're in your body, but you leave your body, and you're in the sky, but you're also here, and you're human, and you're spirit, and you're like in the spiritual realm in like this wild way. Like, it's the most crazy experience, and everyone experiences it a little bit differently, but everyone can, you know, that I've spoken to as we move through birth trauma is able to remember that feeling of like, oh my God, like, I was there, but I wasn't. Like, that was wild, because you are literally like retrieving a soul, right? This baby, this soul that chose you, and bringing it into human form through your fucking body like the bad bitch that you are. Like that is so insane to me that this baby chooses you. It's planted in you as this little tiny seed, and then it grows, and then 9-10 months later you're literally birthing a human out of your fucking vagina, and then your vagina goes whoop, and then it goes whoop, and then like your baby, like it's just, there's obviously more to it, but it's so wild to me. So wild to me. Anyway, I'll say that. We'll leave it there. What do you got for me?
Okay. Oh my gosh. So much. So much. Okay. I love like, okay, going back to like the very beginning of this riff that you went on, which I loved, by the way, around like the I think hijacking was the word you used in like the Western medical system. And like, again, like you said, like I agree, intervention is needed in sometimes, but I feel like what feels crazy to me is that it's like the standard and it's the normal to treat people that are pregnant like they're sick. It's like like I don't know, it blows my mind. And like I'm no expert, so I won't go deeper into that, but oh my god, I wrote down some quotes that you said, that like your body is designed to birth your baby. Love that. And that birth is magic. Birth is a human bringing spirit into form. Love that. So powerful.
Well,
And
and it's true. I mean, I'll say too, I'll put in there because I know you said you're not the expert on it, but you're spot on. We treat like the second you are all of a sudden pregnant and like the doctor confirms it, if you go through like a normal like OBGYN situation and they confirm it and they do this whole check and they do the ultrasound and everything at 12 weeks typically, and they're like, okay, you're pregnant, and now all of a sudden you're a patient of theirs, and now all of a sudden it's like pathology comes in, and that again we're trying to make it so that that's where it was hijacked, right, by political systems and different things there, and truly like men took it from women, if we want to go into that. But I do believe that there are good men, so I'm not someone that's like fuck men, like fuck the patriarchy. Yes, to a certain degree there are definitely wounds and shadows and not such good things of the patriarchy, and also I believe men and women are meant to work together, and I believe we both have a purpose here. Again, whole other topic for us for another time. But what I'm saying is when it was hijacked, it was because we wanted to take it from this being this natural physiological process that, again, you were designed to do and to be able to birth your baby. And we made it so how can we make it efficient? How can we make it effective? How can we make this a production? And let's get women in, let's get women out. And no, this is dangerous to birth at home. And this is dangerous to birth with a midwife. And instead, we're going to make it so that you have to go to school and you have to study. And if you don't study, then you're a witch and you're practicing magic and devil work and you need to die. And it was this very much like, you look at our world now and it's very much evident of like, okay, this is still very real at like a systemic level. And it's absolutely sickening because it is, unfortunately, we come in and we, from the second that you are deemed pregnant by a doctor, because of apparently you can't tell yourself, you need someone to give you that stamp of validation and approval. And then all of a sudden it's like intervention. And like, let's make it so that you're tied into and hooked into this system. And now you need a doctor to be able to see your baby, to be able to feel your baby, to be able to know your baby. You need to have a certain date on a calendar that if your baby doesn't come by this date, like some baby can tell freaking time, we got to take over and we got to take your baby from you. Like there's just so much that is, again, you being pulled out of your power and your magic and hooked into someone outside of you is the authority. Someone outside of you has more power than you. Someone outside of you has more knowingness than you, and you cannot be trusted. You are now sick, wrong, and we need to take over from here. So, I mean, look at how that does tie into, unfortunately, like a very dogmatic type religion or to a political system. Like it's how our world operates right now, but it's not how this world was designed or how we were created. It's what took over when like ego and power and money. Look at the money that is in medical intervention, like common births, when they're in the hospital, how much they cost versus having a baby at home and not having medical intervention. Yeah, there's a lot that could be impact there.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, it's about like what we're placing our trust in, and it's in the like authority experts as opposed to being in ourselves. And I really do like I can understand how it's so easy to plant seeds of fear in women that are pregnant, because of course, like like I'm speaking about most women, or like women that want their pregnancy, like of course their baby is important to them, like it's so important, and things that are so important to us, it's so easy to plant like those seeds of fear. And of course there are risks, of course there are things that could go wrong, but like you said, it is such a natural process. And yeah, I just loving everything you said. I would love for you to go further into, so you mentioned that birth is like a rite of passage, and you kind of went into a little around like the experience, and I know that like everyone's birth experience can look and feel differently as well, but so if you want to talk more on your experience, or through like the people that you work with, you want to go more into like the rite of passage?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, there's so much there. There is a book called Labor Like a Goddess that I highly recommend. It was written by two doulas, and they walk you through the rite of passage and the transformation. And it's like the 7 different gates that you face. Like you're going to have to face, you know, the gate of vulnerability, like you completely strip down and you're raw and you're pooping on the table, right? Like there's like that aspect of it. You've got to face, you know, vulnerability and your willingness to be without shame and be raw. But they talk a lot about it. If you're more into like the spiritual sense of like the rite of passage in there, you can go deeper into that. But yeah, the rite of passage, I mean, it's the maiden to mother journey, right? It's the very much real. And you can do the maiden to mother journey not as birthing a human. So there are other people that talk about it in that way. But the way that I work with my clients in it is that you go from maiden to mother. Like you completely go through this threshold, and you have to face like the darkest and craziest and scariest and wildest depths of yourself. You literally look death in the face. Like you could die, right? It's very rare for women to die in childbirth these days, but it is possible. Women do die. You're looking at that in the face, right? You're having to completely surrender yourself over, because there is no way that your human self by itself is capable of truly breaking your body down to then be rebuilt on the other side. But like you are completely, like your bones are shifting and your organs are shifting and everything's moving, and your vagina literally opens and expands, and here we are, and then it goes back down, right? And like there's just so much that is happening that, and you don't, you know, for the most part, again, in the majority of cases, you don't die, but you literally face it, and you have to have that reconciliation with it of like, okay, like this could be it, right? And like there's so much unknown here, especially if you haven't gone through it before and it's your first child, or maybe you had a C-section the first time and you're going for a VBAC next, a vaginal birth after cesarean, or you are going, maybe you had a hospital birth and you were hooked up on a lot of drugs and now you're having an unmedicated birth. Like they're different experiences, both beautiful rites of passage, both can, you know, to each their own, as long as it is in informed decision. That's important to me. That it's a true aligned congruent decision for you and your body of you choosing to have medical intervention versus like this being forced upon you. I can't tell you how many times I hear that. Consent is important. This is not just a conversation in sex. This is a fucking conversation in birth, and it is not happening enough, and your doctor does not have more authority than you, and medical rape is a real thing. So please, please, please know that you can say no to anything. You can say wait, you can say pause, you can say stop. Like you, oh my God, like chills on my whole body. You have the power. You are the ultimate authority on your body. And I don't care what fucking degree or jacket your doctor is wearing. You have the ultimate authority on you and your baby. So, yes. Okay. So we go from maiden to mother, right? So maiden she's young, wild, free. She's like living her best life, right? She's very in a selfish time of life where like time and space and desire is all free roaming, right? You're just kind of living and experiencing, which is such a beautiful thing. I am not here to shit on the maiden. We all go through it. And it's a beautiful, beautiful space to be in. And I'm all blurry now. I don't know why. So a maiden, right? The maiden part of the journey. And then you go through these different gates, you go through these different experiences and these different initiations, and you birth your baby and you meet not just your baby for the first time, you meet you for the first time. You as now maiden has died, mother has been reborn. And now here you are in this sense of you are both a woman and a mother. And you now have another human being that will depend on you for the rest of their life as their life force, right? As their source. And while, yes, eventually we teach them to find that life force within themselves and we, teach them how to be independent, they will always be interdependent, right? There will always be an inter-sovereignty there. And really, truly, like you have this connection, you have this ability to care for and tend to and guide this and really, truly nourish, right? If you're breastfeeding, you're nourishing this human. Even if you're bottle feeding, you're getting the bottle, you're feeding them, you're tending to their needs. Like you are now selfless in caring for this other human, and you are on this new journey of what is life like, what is the experience of life through the eyes and embodiment of the mother, versus I'm simply by myself, I'm living my best life and I'm doing me. Now I do think there's an important side of, as a mother, I also want you to be selfish in the way of like, you need time for you, right? Ask for support, lean in. Do you have time for self-care? Are you getting enough rest? Are you getting enough hydration, right? Are your needs being met? What is it that you want in life as well? Because you can have both that and be a mother. Like there's kind of a both and a nuance there, because I don't love the idea of like, you just give yourself up forever and now like your baby is sucking on the teat of you forever and you don't get to have anything of your own, because I think that they can coexist. But yeah, that's how I see the rite of passage. It really is. It's a very primal experience, as like, from your body, you are giving life to this child, very literally. And also spiritually and energetically, like you're meeting a different version of yourself that you can't experience until you're in it. You can read about it. You can listen to people talk about it. You can witness other people experience it, but it is a different experience in your body and in your experience and in your space, in your reality. And it's felt. Again, it's not so much explained in my viewpoint. Of course, there's books on it, so you can you can see other people explain it. But to me, it really is. It's a felt experience, a very deep, deep, deep initiation.
And how can that not be magic? Okay, there are a few comments, so I'm just gonna
okay, please, yeah,
tap on them. Amanda says that your hair looks gorgeous.
Thanks. It's clean. I washed it today for you. You're welcome.
She says, nice to meet you, Rachel. Nice to meet you too, Amanda. Chelsea says, such potent messages. I had beautiful, powerful intervention free births. I felt like a freaking goddess, but looking back, my rite of passage into motherhood was not a time where I felt held and supported. I'm now stepping into this space as my soul work. Amazing. Beautiful, Chelsea. Amanda said, you're on fire. Go, go, go. Bring it. Drop those truth bombs. Amazing. Chelsea said, in Australia now, home birth is becoming out of reach. I see a future boom in pre-birthing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I just
got I just got chills. Oh my gosh, what'd you say?
I'm not sure. What's the difference between like a home birth and a free birth?
Yep. So a home birth is still going to have a midwife of some sort. So there's still going to be someone there facilitating, someone that has that little bit of a medical knowledge, who's going to be able to birth the baby, intervene if they need to. A free birth is like literally just you. Maybe you have a partner. Maybe you even have a doula, but even sometimes some people wouldn't say that that's a free birth if you have a doula. Although I see doula as much more emotional and physical support that's not medical. So to me, I'm like, having someone hold that space like a birth keeper is important. But that could be your mother, that could be your husband, but you're catching the baby. Like you are potentially intervening. Like there's no one there to rescue you. Like it really is you completely. Like that's like another level of trust and surrender. And I am so in awe of women who do that. And also, I want to remind everyone that yes, you have the option to do that. Yes, you have the power to do that. And also, it's okay if you don't do it that way, right? Like you get to choose. Again, it's about making an empowered and informed, aligned decision. I love the idea of a free birth, and maybe by my next baby, I'll be ready for that. But I liked knowing that my midwife was in the other room. I liked knowing that my doula was literally holding my hand as my husband was holding my other hand, or they were doing the counter pressure. That felt real. I like being like the goddess, like support me, feed me the grapes, right? Like this is amazing. And also, you could have a support team that isn't a midwife, and that could be considered a free birth. So yeah, it's the Free Birth Society is an Instagram you can follow, or they have podcasts too. It's fascinating to listen to, and they teach on it beautifully. But know that as long as it's an empowered, informed decision, it's a beautiful decision for you.
Amazing.
And it's just as fucking worthy. Okay. I want to make that clear.
A couple of the other comments. So Amanda said it's the heroine's journey embodied in birth. I love that. I'm not sure what we were talking about when she said that, but that sums up a lot of what we were saying. Chelsea said yes, death of the maiden, birth of the mother. And Amanda said yes, you birth yourself in birthing your baby. I think that is so powerful, and that kind of leads into the last topic, or maybe not the last, but the next topic that I kind of wanted you to touch on, which you have touched on elements already, is support. And I feel like sometimes like pregnant women or pregnant people go to like the medical professionals because like that is their support. It's like and I think that like having like when we think about trust and informed decisions, it's like if we don't have anyone to help guide us, sometimes it like thinking of myself, it would be a scary experience if I just like got pregnant and had no support, no one to ask questions. And like I think back to like older times when there was like such a stronger sense of like sisterhood and like connection, like village living. I love the idea of like village living where you have people that have been through the experiences that you're going to go through. So I want to talk about like support during pregnancy, during birth, and also after birth, because this experience of like going through that shift, like birthing a new version of yourself, is like how to call in, how to support yourself, but also how to call in support from others while you're going through this big transition. And it's kind of like, it's like after the baby's born, it's like you're not a patient of the medical system anymore. So it's like I see in a lot of like friends and family that have given birth, it's like there's not that much support after they've given birth, but then it's like you've been talking about, they're this whole new version of themselves. So I would just love your views on support during the whole, before, during, after.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think it's the first thing you have to recognize is that being supported doesn't mean that you're less than. It doesn't mean that you're not enough. It doesn't mean that like you're weak. It doesn't mean that there's something wrong. Like you mentioned so beautifully, Rachel, we were created to be in community. We were created. Our ancestors lived in villages. We rallied for each other. We supported each other. We celebrated each other. We really did truly, like when women were bleeding, they would go back, into the tent, and then the other women would come up and they would take over their duties and their roles, and we would honor that very beautiful process in a cyclic body of bleeding and release and letting go and really just being in rest and being in that void, right? And then they're out here, and then like these women would come out of their bleeding cave and they would be here, and then these other women would go into theirs. Like we really did kind of ebb and flow with each other. And I even remember that in times like now, like today, right? Like you might have so much energy to go out there and be rallying and be standing up and, speaking out in whatever way feels true for you. And then there might be times where you're like, wow, I really need to tend to myself, or I really need to be with my family. And then other people are, speaking up and standing up. And so there's like this, if we got back to that idea, if we got again out of these bigger systems and we reclaimed the beautiful opportunity in community and small villages, very much like even locally. Like I think of, okay, you've got the farmer, you've got the midwife, you've got, the banker, you've got the, all these different roles that we're all playing. And then it all gets to work and gets to kind of have this beautiful systemized process that is people focused and really focused on honoring the individual within the community and honoring our different processes anyway. So support, that's what we were designed for, basically, right? As women, we come together, we are so nourished and hydrated by support and community. And so I really see it as like, knowing that you're enough, knowing that that is how you're designed, and then honoring that. So I think there is nothing more beautiful than watching a woman who is pregnant be so tended to, right? Her only focus should be making this baby and loving on this baby, loving on herself, tending to herself, like all of the self-care, all of the rest, all of the just being in this space of creation and that connection there, right? And of course, that's not how our society is designed. So I get it. We've got jobs, we've got work. I remember when I was pregnant feeling so fucking guilty if I like didn't do the dishes because I'm like, I'm not doing anything. And then my friends would be like, your baby grew ears today. Like that's kind of a big deal. Like your body is working, right? But in our very much capitalist society, which again, I'm not anti-capitalism because I think it's a beautiful system, but it has shadows. It has broken parts that we need to fix because it tells us that our productivity, our production is our worthiness. So as women, all through pregnancy, these 10 months of pregnancy, you're literally producing a human being out of nothing in your body. And we for some reason don't think that's enough, right? So I think that it's so important to allow ourselves to be supported so that we can be so attuned to the needs of ourselves and our babies and our home and really being in this very much kind of cocoon so that we can be with this rite of passage. There is a death to self process happening. That is a major thing to grieve, to also honor, to revere, to celebrate, to look forward to be with, to be present with, and to have the capacity to do that. We have to have space. We have to be supported. Someone needs to be making the dinner potentially. Someone needs to be, we need to get the massage. We need to have maybe some of our work go over to our assistant, or maybe we move our launch schedule around and we honor the season that we're in. And we're so present there. And then as we go through birth, you need to be held. You need people to remind you of who you are, right? Because you're going to forget. You are going to be like, that pain will hit and like you'll get hooked into it. And you've got to have someone that brings you back down. Breathe, drop in. You're safe. You are safe. You are safe. You are safe. Like you can do this. You absolutely can. There's a doula there telling me, it's okay. This is normal. Because in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to fucking die. Like, this is it. I'm literally like, cut this baby out of me, lay me down, knock me out. Like I'm done. Right. Every woman has that. I remember my last doula client called me. I'm on FaceTime with her and she's in transition. She's about to start pushing her baby out. And she literally is like, I can't do this. Oh my gosh, I can't do this. I can't do this. You're kidding me. There's no way I can do this. And she's going up here and I'm able to talk her back down here. You're safe. You're okay. But if she would have stayed up here, her body is going to think she's not safe. Her body's going to go into survival mode. Everything will stop. They'll consider her that she's stalling, and then they'll go into the cascade of interventions. Okay. They're going to hook her up to this. They're going to do this. They're putting her on a time clock, put her on the table. Like there's these different things that start to happen when a doula is there, or a partner who is educated and can step in and say, we did not consent to this, or we will wait, give us time, right? Like these different people to stand up for you because you're in the process. You're in labor land over here. Your only focus should be being in connection and relationship and communication with your body and your baby and in your process. Everything happening out here, hospital, home, wherever you are, someone else needs to be taking care of that. Like your job is to be right here, focused on what is happening in your body as you bring this spirit into form. And then postpartum, all of a sudden we're expected to like, okay, you're going to breastfeed, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. Okay, everything's going to go back to normal. Okay, like, you met yourself. Yay, awesome, you met your baby. Okay, cool. Have a great day. Oh, 6 weeks has gone by. No more doctor's appointments, no more midwife appointments. Good luck to you. Okay, bye. And you're like, oh my God, like no one is walking us through this deep integration of who we are now, of again, grieving who we were. Because I don't care how excited you are to meet that baby and how excited you are to become a mother, there is still, maybe you're not looking at it and that's an invitation, but there is a loss of this old identity and this old version of you and this old life. And while this is so beautiful and exciting, both can coexist. I can have grief and I can have excitement. I can have gratitude and I can have pain. I can have these things at the same time. And this just needs tending to, so I have more, capacity and space and ability to show up over here and experience more of this. So I think we ignore a lot of that. And then we have postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety and psychosis and these different things that start to happen. And while, yes, I believe that some of it is hormonal because you were up here and now your hormones went down here. Okay. So there is a process happening in the body that's important to tend to. And look at the emotions and energetics of what just happened, what you just experienced and went through. And is anyone talking to you about it? Right. And then there's this shame like of oh well, it should be like rainbows and butterflies because like I have my baby and my baby's happy and my baby's fine and I'm fine. And your hormones are a mess, you're on little sleep, your boobs hurt, you're like, oh my God, your vagina feels like it's broken for a minute, and you're just like, oh my God, will life ever go back to how it was? No, because you're in a new life now. But who's holding you through that process? And that's where the village would have been there. The wise women, right? The medicine women would have been holding us, tending to us, letting us cry, telling us that this is normal, this is okay, and asking us what we need. And so leaning into that and finding that support. So for me, pregnancy, I had friends were a lot of my support during pregnancy. My husband, my midwife. Birth was my midwives. I had 3 different assistants there at the time, so it was like super awesome. I felt like a total goddess because there was 2 midwives, 3 midwife assistants. My doula was there, my husband was there, and then I was texting with some girlfriends. And then postpartum, I got a therapist right away because I was like, okay, I'm going to need someone here. My doula was there for me in that initial postpartum period. I was talking to my girlfriends. I'm crying to them. I'm letting myself experience. I'm letting myself feel, while also being in great, beauty and gratitude and honor to have been initiated into this new role. But it breaks me. But a lot of times I see it, the reason we don't seek the support, because most of us know that we would thrive on that. But there's this sense of like, ooh, that means I'm weak. Or no, I can do this. I'm fine. Or we don't want to spend money on it or things there, which is so interesting because we spend fuck tons of money on a wedding, but we don't spend money on pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. So it's just, I do believe, well, again, yes, there's hormonal stuff going on. And yes, everyone's individual experience is real. And yes, mental health is so real. And again, everyone's experience is unique. I also believe that a lot of these issues that we're seeing postpartum is hormonal, and there is because we don't have the support. We don't know what the fuck is happening. We were just kind of plopped and dropped into this new phase of life and this new season. And we're just meant to be like, everything's okay. Like I'm going to the grocery store, I'm going to work, I'm, doing this, but yet we're completely disconnected now from our body, from our pleasure, from sex, from our desire. Like we're disconnected from this magic. Right. And if you're breastfeeding, you've got this baby on you, you're lacking sleep, you and your partner are screaming at each other at 4 a.m. because you're so exhausted. And it's like, who's here to help us kind of return to our inherent and our innate wholeness, right? And return to like that groundedness and kind of everything that's been up here, be able to bring us and anchor us back down. I think is so needed and so important. I think we would see a lot less issues postpartum if we had that, and if that was normalized again.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Olivia, there was so much in that. And I feel like the summary is like, it's okay to have support, and it's actually so needed to have an experience that is full of more lightness and ease. And like I love all of that. And I feel like we could have an entire other like hour conversation around healing, like the conditioning around why we don't seek support, and the conditioning around like not trusting ourselves and all of that stuff. So oh my God, I love talking to you. You're just I love everything you said. I'm not even going to recap it. I think everyone just re-listen because
there's a lot. You're welcome.
It was so good. And oh my God, what was I going to say? I can't remember what I was going to say, but so good. I'm definitely going to re-listen to this. I was too focused to take too many like notes of things to come back to you. But Olivia, I've loved this conversation so much. I think you've just shared like such beautiful transmissions that I'm sure is very like activating and inspiring to everyone listening. And you've given so many different points that I feel like is going to activate so many to like research further or tune into themselves deeper as well. And for everyone that is watching, Olivia has also given everyone so generously a 30-minute guided meditation / somatic healing, I think you called it. I listened to it myself and it was really beautiful around when you're feeling heavy emotions, a really beautiful guided process to feel them, to alchemize them, to process in a way. So that is in the announcement section. You'll see that pinned there where you can get access and download that. It's really beautiful. Olivia, do you have any final words that you would really love to wrap us up on?
I mean, yeah, like you said, there's so much we could go into. But my prayer and my hope and like my mission in this life, after walking through it myself and walking countless other women through it, you were designed to do this. Like, the healing that we have to do around the conditioning is huge. And that's why I think, working with, a doula, a life coach, someone who is, because it depends on what kind of doula you work with, but like I bring a lot of my coaching and a lot of my support skills into it, a lot of that into my work. So I'm able to walk women through healing that conditioning so that they can remember, who they are and what they're capable of. And they can tap into, what is safety in my body? What does feel aligned for me? What is an empowered decision for me? What does feel like the right way to birth my baby? Do I want to be at a hospital? Do I want to be at home? When they're in their birth process, they are able to feel into truly their intuition versus their fear. They're able to know like that still knowingness within them, that wisdom that lives within them versus this external authorities, fear-based kind of piece that's dropped there of like, well, your baby's in distress. Okay, pause. What's happening, right? Like what's going on? And like, what can I ask for more information? Like, why are they saying that? Give me more details, different things there so that you can have the birth that feels truly like it was yours, because too many women's births are being hijacked and are being stolen from them, taken from them. And while I do believe we can reclaim them, I believe in the freaking power and healing and potential of redemption. I believe that we can heal anything that you have been through. I believe that birth is a rite of passage, no matter how it unfolded. I believe that you can reclaim that. You can retrieve your soul from that. You can heal that within the body. You can have the redemptive birth if it didn't go the way that you wanted it to the first time. There's so much there, right? There's so much there, but your body was designed for this. Your soul led you to this. This was chosen for you. Your baby chose you for this, right? And so can we lean in and trust that? Birth is the absolute deepest sense of surrender that you will ever experience. You completely like let go while also experiencing it in your body at the same exact time. Like it's the most crazy, it's spiritual, but it's primal. There's so much happening. And birth is a physiological, normal process. It is not a medical process. It is not a pathological process. It is your intuitive, conscious knowing from start to finish. And that's all that you need. So lean into that. Will you trust yourself? Will you trust your baby? Will you trust your body? Will you trust God? Will you trust spirit? Will you trust this entire process? Because if you won't, then like that's a different conversation. But if you will, then like you tap into so much potentiality there and so much possibility there. And that truly to me is where the magic is when you can let go into that.
Amazing. I love that. Thank you so much for everything you have shared, Olivia. I love it all so much. Do you want to share with everyone, how can everyone connect with you? If you have any offers that you would like to plug right now, go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can find me @OliviaCeline_ on Instagram, oliviaceline.com. My birthing work is very personalized and individual and taken on kind of a case-by-case basis, depending on what the specific mother is wanting or needing, and kind of how our energies feel and fit together. So I take a very small handful of birth clients because birth is unpredictable. It's not like we're going to schedule a call on Friday at 3 p.m. I'll see you then. I can plug them all into my calendar. It's very much like, holy fuck, I'm in labor, or, oh my gosh, I'm having an experience I need to talk about right in this moment. And it's very like kind of hands-on and really deep work. So you can message me on Instagram. You can send me an email, hello@oliviaceline.com. There's also a contact form on my website. We can chat more about that. And of course, there's always more to come down the line. I did take a position as well as a support person within Melissa Lapidus' Safe Trauma Healing company. It's the way I learned trauma work, the way I learned somatic healing work. I was a client of hers, then I was a student in her facilitation program and got certified through her. And now I'm also working in her company to help her bring this to more and more and more people. And so if you are wanting to dive deeper into, like, even whether you're pregnant, you're trying to conceive, you've birthed before, you're wanting to learn more about trauma, nervous system regulation, healing within the body, really being able to go into the experience of not necessarily what's happening up here, but what's showing up in my body and being asked to be healed that way. She has incredible programs that I can get you plugged into as well, that I'm a support person and a facilitator in, and helping her bring those, and continue to grow and expand the company. So I'm kind of doing those both roles at this point, but it is work that I do so deeply, and we'll be bringing it into the birthing space as well. So lots to come there. So you can find me basically Instagram and my website, and my offerings are ever evolving. So whenever you watch this, just reach out and I'm happy to share what I've got, and we can feel into it from there.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Amanda says, beautiful interview. I love this so much. Well done, Olivia. So informative and supportive. And Chelsea says, thank you for your wisdom and energy. And again, I would like to say thank you so much. Thank you, ladies that are here live. Thank you, everyone that is watching the replay as well. Remember to share your fave quotable moments to go into the entry for all the giveaways. I'll do a post in the group with some of the quotes that I captured and the image that you can use to share to your stories as well. And just thank you so much. And anyone that's really enjoyed this, like, just send a heartfelt message to Olivia. I love hearing from people that gain so much from things that I speak in. So I know that all the speakers will really love that. So thank you so much, everyone. Have an amazing day.
Thanks, Rachel, for having me. And thank you, everyone, for being here. It is such a gift to talk about this. And so, yeah, let me know what you loved. Let me know what you want to hear us riff more on. And just thank you for trusting me with your community and trusting me to be here in this space with you.
Yeah, thank you.